the next interesting project. And this one is going to be a tutorial on how to paint sunset clouds. Okay, so some of the materials I'll be using today, I just use a palette that you can buy these from any craft shop. They're actually excellent. Or you can make your own. I've made my own in the past, bits of timber, drill a hole, etc. But we've got, we're going to be laying the palette with white. I use this area for the white. And then in these areas here, I just generally use the main colours I'll be using. In this case, we've got Indian yellow, we've got purple madder, and we have vermilion orange. So these are the three main colours we'll be using. We might also be tinting with cadmium red, which I generally make up in large amounts because I use quite a lot of it because I use red in everything. And then when it comes to the highlights and things, I've made a pre-mixed colour of, I suppose you call it amethyst. They're the main colours I'll be using. And maybe a little bit of black. Never use too much black, but a little bit of black always dulls off a colour and gives the impression of atmosphere. Just quickly on that point, the further something is away from the viewer, generally gives the impression of a lightness, and that means that you've got to dull the colours back because you don't want bright colours in the distance. Bright colours are in the foreground only, and that will give the impression of further away because air has its own capacity, if you will, and that will mean that the light, as it shines through into the hill, will have its own density, and that will make things lighter and also duller in tone. So tone, perspective and shade are the three things we'll be concentrating on today. Now, just very quickly, what the brushes I use, look, I tend to use an array of brushes. One simple tip for viewers out there is I use a foam book, like a block, and I simply just poke the brushes into the foam block, and that works brilliantly because if I want that particular brush, A, it will protect the bristles, B, it will allow me to quickly see what I want and grab the brush, and C, it also allows me to pick up and move that block to wherever I want. So we have brushes such as a fan brush. Now you'll notice this fan brush, I've trimmed the bristles a little bit, and that gives me some interesting techniques that I can use rather than just the curves. So if we use the edge of the bristles like that, it'll give me a harder edge. If I use the softer bristles here that are still shaped the way the factory brush was made, it will give a fan effect, which is technically what the brush is for. So fan brush. Then we have the skillet brushes. They're fine brushes. They're wide on one end and you can actually get a point on the other, so you can get fine lines or you can get wider lines. A range of those is quite handy. I use a wider one as well, something like that. It gives us the softer effects. There's another fan brush. It's a larger one. That's just more for blending than anything else. And of course, any other details and blocking in, you might use a brush like that. To start off though, I use these larger 50mm trade brushes, and they're great for initially blocking in the plan of where we're going to go, and then later on when it's nice and dry and so forth, you can also use that as a nice blending brush. So that's the brushes I'll be using. And finally, of course, I'll be dipping it in water because it's all acrylic based this stage. Sometimes I go over with oils at the end, but that can be another tutorial. But I also use Joe Sonia's flow medium. I found this to be quite good, mainly because the paint will not only maintain its consistency, but it'll also flow nicely onto the canvas. And the area we're going to be painting, say, is here. So just so that the paint will flow nicely, give it a light mist, and then we wipe it off just with a clean cloth. Just what we're going to do, we're going to start with a little bit of the titanium white and the cadmium red, and that's going to give us a light sort of pinky tone. And we're going to work out where the highlights are going to come from. So here's the sun, and if we look at, we're going to highlight this area here and give it that depth of shade. Okay, so look at this. We're coming together now. It's getting the lovely shades of purples and pinks, which more or less just make an interesting scene. And at the moment, what I'm doing is I'm just breaking up the sky a little bit between where the cloud, the horizon, and then the cloud in front. So this cloud here, for example, might be in the back. This cloud here will eventually become in the front. So okay, so you can see that it's forming nicely now. It's starting to show some shapes into the clouds, and it's got a bit of depth of field, and it's got a bit of perspective. Notice that these clouds at the top are more pitched downwards, so the closer the horizon, the flatter it becomes, and so on and so forth.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's
I
the water
like
wave.
that.
I like the tree too.
I love the sand.
Yeah.
Do you like it, girls?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, Darren here. Big fella's just showing me his painting of the Seven Pools. We've been there, 1993, a long time ago, admittedly. This is as good as a photo, people. This is as good as it gets. He's done very, very well. Cheers.